Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for doing this interview. I know it's going to help a lot of the current Fit Mom Method group going through right now. Everybody, I just want to introduce you to Jasmine Bessey. She is an alumni from the very first Fit Mom Method program that we did, and she had amazing results. So I thought it would be great to talk to her a little bit and share some of what she did and what clicked for her, and then she can offer some advice of things that might help the current group. So, Jasmine, will you remind me what your results were within that 12-week period that you went through?
Yeah, I was actually looking back. It was almost a year ago that I met you at the gym, and then not too long after that we started. But I um, I lost about 20 pounds, um, and I guess the biggest thing was inches. Though I lost a lot of inches. I would have to look again, but I lost quite a few inches. And biggest thing, I guess, my husband and I kind of decided at the same time to do it together. So that was kind of the turning point, was that we both were in it together, and that helped a lot. But I was able to build some more muscle and get a little leaner. I'm still in the process. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I feel like it's a constant thing. But I was really happy with my results from that, and it gave me a little jump start. So
Fantastic. So one of the things that we had talked about when we were kind of at the midpoint, and I kind of checked in like I do with everybody and talked to them about, what's working, what isn't, what are your challenges. The biggest thing for you at that point was the nutrition. So can you tell me a little bit about what you were doing before, and then what you were doing after doing the program, and then kind of what mental shift did you have through that process?
okay. Yeah, like she said, I was working out um like 7 days a week, pretty much
Mhm.
6 to 7 days a week, and working out hard. And I was eating generally healthy, I would say, like what I thought was healthy. I mean, I was eating, chicken and turkey and then vegetables most of the time. But then on the weekends, I was sabotaging all my results because I was like, it's the weekend. And I kind of would just like have basically an entire cheat weekend. And so what was happening is I was just having a cycle of Monday would come and I would get kind of just back to square one again. And so I was just stuck. And I was working out really hard, lifting hard, and I just wasn't seeing any. I mean, I guess I was maintaining muscle, I guess you could say, but I wasn't dropping any fat.
Mhm.
And anyways, and then I guess a lot of the changes were just like realizing that I guess I was eating healthy, but I was also, I guess, overeating healthy.
Mhm.
So um I realized like portion control was something that you taught me, and then kind of just the, you know, to make sure that there was like the three different portions of everything was
Mhm.
helpful. And then kind of the when you would give like the fist size or the
Mhm.
like the different
Yes.
descriptions were easier and quicker for me in that
Yeah.
regard. And I also realized like I started just kind of looking at labels more, and so that was really a good turning point for me, because you taught us that, and then that made me realize also like caloric intake as well. And then it kind of like
Mhm.
made it known to me like, you know, yes, I'm like I was eating double servings what I should have in this. And
Right.
so that made a big change for me. It was just realizing like how much my body needs versus what I was giving it.
Yeah. And then would you say, I think another thing that we had talked about was the difference between eating lean and eating healthy,
Yeah.
and eating healthy and lean. So do you feel like the foods that you started on with the program were leaner than what you were consuming prior to that?
Yeah. So I guess my like one of my main things I would always eat was the ground turkey. And I would always buy from Costco because it was like the best price I found or whatever. But then I realized that that turkey is like, I think it's like 40% fat or something crazy like that. When I looked at it, that was like the first thing I realized. And I was like, holy cow, because I was eating that like probably 2 times a day,
Mhm.
every day. And I was also eating too much of it too. And so I was eating not like very, very fatty turkey. Plus I was eating too much of it. And so just changing that, I started buying the lean ground turkey. That was a learning experience though, because it is drier. So I had to figure out how to make it,
How to cook it.
um, yeah, more edible and different things to like put on it that are approved and stuff like that. But, anyway, so that was a big thing, was that. And then also just like, just some snacks that I would eat. I would just realize like they had a lot of fat, like higher fat content. And then, so I'm trying to think if there was anything else I was eating that, but mainly just like being, aware of that and checking the labels of the fat content and just making sure that I, fill it with the good fats through,
Right.
other
Throughout.
sources.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite meals that you've continued, because you've been doing this, like you said, almost a year now, and you've kept up with the program, you've kept up with good nutrition, you've kept up with working out. So what are some of your favorite meals and what are some of your favorite snacks?
I'm still just so boring as far as that goes. We just cook a bunch of chicken on our Traeger, just smoke it, and then just cook a bunch of turkey and just eggs. And I don't know, I'm very simple. That's just how it works for me. I am not good at making elaborate
Good
meals,
making
but
it.
I hope one day I get to that point where because then it'd be funner to eat, because
Yeah.
it's not super fun this way. But so I'm not a super good example of some good recipes or anything, but you have great ones. I tried a lot of them. I haven't been good at implementing them regularly. I just kind of mass food prep boring food and then I eat it. But
That's
then,
okay. That's okay. I mean, you found what works for you.
yeah,
And so that's what's working for you and you're doing it consistently. As long as you can keep up with it, then that's what's working.
yeah.
So let's see. Anytime I see a major transformation, and one of the things, so we just did an evaluation this morning where I added up everybody's total inches lost over the last 4 weeks. And we did it a little differently than when you were in the program because I wanted to show a collective loss over that 4 weeks so that people could understand how the little quarter of an inch, half of an inch, taken over 9 points collectively in the body really add up. Well,
Mhm.
over 10 people out of 10 people, we had a collective loss of over 46.25 inches in just 4 weeks. And so that was tremendous. And I did a video this morning where I showed it on the tape measure, because you're like, holy cow, that really does start to add up. So when I see a major transformation, and I'm always like, okay, well, what did that person do? How is it sustainable? So how did you, like, what advice could you give the current group so that they stay motivated and they recognize that it's a process and it's a marathon and it's not a sprint? Like, what would your advice be?
Um, so my husband and I have been talking a lot about this because like we kind of had like a week or two there where we kind of got more lax, and it was actually during quarantine, I guess. And we were just kind of like, a little more laid back. And then we realized how quickly you can get back to old habits and how quickly like your body immediately starts going back to the way it was. And so, I guess that was eye opening that like, this is a lifelong process. Like it's not something that once we get to our goal weight, we just like can go back to our old ways. Like, so it's a lifestyle change, and um, that you just have to learn that that's just how it is. And if you want to get your results, you just have to continuously stick with it. And I guess I think it's important to have the cheat meal, but to make sure that is like you said, you know, pick either your dessert or your wine, or pick your,
Right.
um, like, and just make it the one meal versus the whole day or the whole weekend. Because I think that gives us gives us a little motivation to get that cheat meal, and it's good for us. But to make sure that it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And then as far as, I guess, just consistency with working out, and I know I love working out, so that one's not hard for me. It never has been as far as motivation wise. I enjoy that. I know some people struggle with that, but I guess just find something maybe that you like we got a Peloton over the break, and I've enjoyed, like, that's fun for me to do those classes. And so I don't know, maybe find something that you enjoy and just try and stay consistent with that.
Yeah, I definitely think variety is key with foods and with working out, and making sure that you're getting something that you enjoy and it doesn't feel like work to you
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
otherwise you just won't do it. Nobody wants to work. They want to have fun, and but everybody wants the result. So I think it's definitely a mindset shift also between running away from pain versus going for what you want. Like
Yeah.
that's one thing I've learned is I'm always that one that's going to go for what I want. So I tend to go for pleasure, but like most people run away from pain. And so it's that mind shift of like, how am I going to get this result, but I'm still going to have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I like that too. Yeah, it's true. You can't just do only what you enjoy, you like, because that probably is the thing that is most comfortable. So yeah, I
Right.
agree with that too.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
I guess maybe on those days when it's either don't work out at all or do something, then maybe that's it. But yeah, I agree. And like your workouts are great. And I guess what that also taught me is like incorporating, like keeping your heart rate up throughout the entire workout makes a big
Mhm.
difference.
Huge.
Versus before I just kind of lifted weights, but just took a long break in between. And I noticed like, I mean, my heart rate wasn't getting up at all
Mm,
really. And so, that's important, I guess, to, try and
challenge
incorporate
yourself.
something to keep your
Yeah,
heart rate up in between.
that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's talk about mindset, because I feel like this program is equal parts mindset, fitness as in movement, and nutrition. It's kind of those three things. And every single person that came in this time came in because they wanted accountability. And so what would you say is like the most important mindset lesson that you can teach somebody or that you could share with somebody?
That's hard. I guess just like find um your why or your reason, and then just always think of that. So for me, like, um my mental clarity is key. And like when and I'm eating healthy and I'm working out, I feel better and I have more energy and I'm a better mom. And so that I guess that's my motivation, and that's why my mindset shifted versus like, oh, so I can look good look good when I go in public. It's more now, so I feel better, I feel good, and I am happier when I put my clothes on versus
Absolutely.
like, and I guess that is the big shift is like, I used to, I think, do it more, I guess, for other people,
Hmm.
like, because I cared what other people thought or like when they looked at me.
Hmm.
And then I shifted that to what do I want, and like what makes me feel good, and what makes me a better person and a better mom. And so that was a big shift for me because yeah, it's not about what other people think
Right.
of me. And so that
That
was
is
a big shift
huge.
for me.
That is huge. I mean, that's something we hadn't even talked about, but I mean, that's amazing because that's something that you can carry with you for life. And
Yeah.
it's always going to be what makes Jasmine feel like she's at her best, what makes you feel like you're at your best self versus, um, something else that is not going to give you as, I guess, long-term meaning, you know?
Hmm.
So that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
so tell me, like, what would you tell yourself on some of those tough days? Like, let's just put yourself back in week 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's long enough to see some kind of result, but you still have some time to go. You're still trying to steer in the direction of forward movement. But what would you tell yourself on those tough days, like when you didn't want to prepare a meal or when you were out of ideas for shopping? Like, what would you kind of tell yourself to get through it?
I would just remind myself of like my goal, like, I wanted to be able to, I don't know what people's goals are, but like fit in a certain size, or be able to wear like a certain dress, or maybe like a event coming up. I guess that was
Yeah.
motivating. If I found something that was like my next step motivator, then that kind of like, I would remember that and be like, okay, is it worth it? to not be able to achieve that goal. So
Right.
that was helpful. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would say, but and then my husband was really helpful. So I think that's key, is like, if you can find anybody, a partner, well, that's what's great about this group, reach out to those. I heard you have like accountability partners or something. That's
Do this
cool.
time. Yeah, this
So
time we
yeah,
find
that's
partners.
cool. If you can reach out to them, or, even you, I wish that that's one piece of advice is like, ask more questions,
Mhm.
like you are the coach. I always felt like bad at, reaching out or bugging you, but like, that's like, you're the coach, and like, so answer, ask questions,
Yeah.
and then like reach out. Like, if you're like, I'm struggling, I know just telling someone like I'm struggling today,
Yeah.
like kind of helps me get out of that. And I'm like, oh, I can do this, and like, so
Absolutely.
just talking about it.
Yeah, I love that, because and the thing is, I love helping people. So of course, if somebody reaches out to me in my group and they're like, "Hey, I'm struggling," I immediately, it's like, I feel like they're my kids. Like, I just want to go and help them and figure out some kind of solution, whether it's looking at a schedule differently, or trying to figure out a different time to work out, or maybe it's just adding some variety in meals. Anything that's going to help somebody get that start to just keep going to that next milestone, or that next little mini goal, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. So, how did you know? This is one thing that I'm kind of interested in with just human psychology, is how did you know, Jasmine, that it was possible? Like, how did you know that your goals were even possible before and even during the program?
So I actually, I guess I didn't. I always saw other people. I'm like, how do they do that? And I'm like, I was like frustrated, because I'm like, it has to be possible, but maybe it's just their body that's possible too, And I still actually kind of have that mentality. Sometimes I have to remind myself that like, it is possible for me. I
Mhm.
just have to get there. But, like, I guess I would always see these people like, fitness models or whatever. And I'm like, how is that possible that they do that? But then I realized, like, I guess it was just seeing a little bit of progress.
Yeah.
That's what made me realize, like, I know that it's possible if I do the right thing and put in the work. And so I guess that was for me, was when I saw, like, when I finally, I had that plateau for so long. And then when I
Mhm.
finally had had progress, lost interest, lost, weight, I'm like, okay, this is possible if I just keep going. So
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think, and we're at that point right now with the group where we're in week 6. We're at the beginning of week 6. So the numbers that I talked about this morning were just from the first 4 weeks, because we have a weigh-in coming up this Saturday. So this Saturday will be the 6th week, the true halfway mark, where we can really see, okay, midway, how are we doing? And so I'm very curious to see how everybody does, but I'm hoping that even just the little incremental changes, that
yeah.
if somebody can see that and hold on to it, then that's where the motivation kind of kicks in on its own, and you don't have to be so disciplined, because your motivation kind of carries you through. Does it make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. I think, cause yeah, you definitely hit that plateau a little bit. And I think that the key is to like really dial in and say, okay, is there something I can do better at? Am I slacking in a certain area? That's something
Mhm.
for me too, is I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing the progress that I want, or I'm kind of stuck. So is there somewhere where I'm like, I'm lacking, or I could just do a little bit better, put a little bit more effort into, and then, I kind of that next week would really focus on that thing.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's great advice. Yeah, is there one little piece of the puzzle that I could do a little bit better to make it
mhm.
incrementally better? That's awesome.
Because especially as you get down closer to your goal, I guess that's when it gets harder. I feel like, because things like it let all the numbers shrink, and all the details shrink a little bit. And so, yeah, at first it was really exciting, because it was like all of it just poured off. And now, like even right now, I'm like kind of in a plateau, and I got to figure out. That's why I'm like, this is going to be good for me to kind of like really dial in on what can I do a little better on to maybe like jump over that. So
Yeah, I can send you a video on that too after this if you want. So just off the top of my head, you can always add another meal, and you can bump up your protein a little bit, and that could help. So we could talk about it if you want
okay.
afterwards. But um, so let me think. How how do you feel like having children and your children, how much of that impacted whether or not you wanted to do that? How much of that was part of your why and your bigger purpose?
A lot, because I just felt like I was just kind of dragging. I really, if I don't eat right and if I don't exercise, I'm very irritable and my anxiety's higher. And I am just like groggy and tired. And so I guess that is key, because I feel like I was not a good mom when I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in that mindset. And so that's the biggest factor in it. And then also just energy. Like, I just realized as I'm getting older and my kids, they're still high energy, and I realize like how important that is, and so versus when I was, brand new mom, I had energy like no matter what, I feel like, but now I feel like I have to really be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot
So
of sense. Um, I'm,
also like an example to them, I guess,
oh yeah.
too. I just feel like I want to teach them, because a lot of times they're like, why do we go to the gym every single day? And I'm like, that's what we do. We gotta stay healthy. Mommy has to stay healthy so that I can be there for you, and so that's what I kind of have to always say. And then they're like, oh, okay. And I said, you'll be the same. I hope you'll be the same way, that, and I find ways to help them work out, something
Mm-hmm.
just like, well, let's get up and be active, whatever. And then it's mommy's turn to work out. But
Yeah.
anyways.
So what you mentioned at the beginning, that you're still kind of working towards a goal. What is your current goal that you're working?
Just lose more body fat. I still have a lot of stomach fat
Mm-hmm.
still that I want to get rid of, and then just more. I've built up my muscle a lot, I feel like, but I would like to just be able to see like more definition and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. But I don't really have like a now I don't really care so much about like numbers. Like, I don't weigh myself very much anymore,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, because I find myself fluctuating quite a bit, like
Mm-hmm.
just week by week. I realize it's hormone related and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that's why I think, like you said, it's important with the inches. At this point, when you get down more towards that, it's more like inches or just how you look.
Yes.
So mine's just more, I don't really have a specific goal,
Yeah.
but maybe just see improvements. That's all I want
Yeah.
for
Just
myself, is just
continue.
that over time I see continued improvements.
Yeah.
So
Just to continue progress. I feel like this is a lifelong thing, because
yeah.
I do the same thing. I still have, little mini goals that once I hit them, nobody else may see them. Like,
Yeah.
nobody else truthfully may even notice, but I will notice. And
Yeah.
I feel like visualization is really important. I think I shared with y'all at the beginning, or I think it was around week 4, week 5, I shared with y'all how when I started doing this for the very first time, I really wanted to buy a pair of skinny jeans. Like, that was like, I wanted these skinny jeans, and I was going to save up for them. And, I would just have a picture of them. And then as soon as I hit my goal, that was my reward to myself. And I just pictured, but it wasn't just about the jeans. It was about going a date with my husband, wearing heels, having an adult night out, actually feeling great going out. There was like a whole story behind it that really fueled my motivation. But visualization was a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still do that. I still think of, what is something I want to achieve that I can work towards, and that's what keeps me going. So, Jasmine, one of the things, so in this program, we do 3 forms of measurement. We do the scale weight, which is just a baseline. We do the tape measure in 9 points on the body, and then we do the photography. Well, you added a 4th one that you had access to at Lifetime, which was the in-body machine. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's just a machine that you stand on, and it checks your body fat percentage, your muscle and skeletal muscle mass, I think is what it is.
Yes.
And then what else is that? Or just your weight, I guess. There's something else though. What is it?
Yeah, I think it's the
Something else.
scale weight, the body fat, and then your like your
Muscle
muscle
mass.
mass versus your skeletal mass. But what was interesting about that is because not everybody has access to that. So
Yeah.
I understand that, which is why we don't officially include it in the
Yeah.
program. But I always tell people if they have another form of measurement
Yeah.
to definitely use it, because I think I shared with you how within a 2-week window, I had the 9-point caliper test taken from my nutritionist who has over 30 years of experience. And I was at 1 level. And I had done the in-body machine, which was at a way higher level. And so when anybody shows me those numbers, I'll say, okay, just ignore the number, but what we're
Yeah.
looking for is the progress over time. So
Yeah.
how much did you tell me that you had dropped in body fat over that time
Oh,
frame?
gosh, I can't remember. Probably like, I don't remember. Was it like 7 or 8%? I can't remember. Or was it even higher?
I thought you had told me like 10, but
Yeah, maybe.
that's,
Okay, so yeah, that's, I guess so. I think I started at like 24,
mhm.
and then now, well, then I think by the end, yeah, I was like at 12 or 13 or something on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's probably about right. And that was, like you said, I don't know how accurate that is as far as like, because like when you look at pictures of what like a body looks like with body fat percentage,
Right.
it doesn't seem right exactly.
Right.
But like
Yeah.
you said, I look more about like, is it dropping and is my
Yeah.
skeletal muscle mass going up? And that was motivating me too, is that as I see that. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you have access, that's a good thing.
So what happened on mine, now I didn't use the in-body machine consistently, but my nutritionist, we were doing benchmarks, and over a 16-week period, 16-week period, I had dropped 12% body fat. And I'm 5'1", so that is significant when you think about 12% on an entire, 5'1"
Yeah.
frame, in 16 weeks. But the scale weight only dropped by 5 pounds in that
Mhm.
same window of time. So did your scale weight maintain itself even though you had that significant body fat drop, or did it drop also?
It dropped a little bit, but yeah, definitely not as like, I was much happier with seeing that scale
Yeah.
versus the yeah, that's better. So I definitely think that, yeah, if you have access to either like, yeah, just measuring or just like, yeah, the pictures is key. Cause yeah, I'll look back sometimes at my pictures and I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that's good to see. And
Mhm.
then but yeah, um just seeing that drop, and definitely how the pounds don't necessarily, I guess, because if you're building the muscle like you're supposed to, then you probably shouldn't actually be dropping as much weight at that point. So that was the thing for me, is seeing that is better for me to see the muscle mass go up and then the fat go down. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that it takes a mindset shift. It takes hearing it from somebody.
mhm.
It takes hearing it repeatedly and then experiencing it yourself before you're like, oh, okay, I don't really care about the scale weight anymore. I care about these other factors. And then we collectively combine them to see the true picture. But yeah, I was just curious what had happened for you, because um, I, I always try to tell people, like, hey, your scale weight may not budge, or it could go up as you're increasing muscle mass. And it takes a lot of people some time to get used to.
Yeah. Yes. For sure.
But yeah. So what other advice can you give, like, anybody going through this program that you want to share before we wrap up?
If there's anything else, mainly just, yeah, consistency is key. I um think also give yourself grace though. I mean,
Mhm.
if you have a
Yeah.
bad day, like, don't, I guess I've found myself before, if I like will eat maybe a handful of the candy that's on the counter or whatever.
Mhm.
Some days I'll just let that ruin my whole day. And I'll be like, I already messed up, like, and I'll just do that. But then the other days I can say, okay, like, that's all right. I had a little tiny bit. It's fine. Now let's be good and strong the rest of the day. So I guess just like, don't let a little mistake like ruin your whole day. I try
Yeah.
really hard to let that be a motivating factor. And then as far as,
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes a lot of sense. What would you tell somebody who is kind of looking at you, like looking at you now and thinking, I can never do that. I can never get in that kind of shape. I can never, like, get that strong, or, what if somebody's telling themselves, I can't do that for
Yeah.
whatever reason, because they don't know yet. They haven't been able to prove it otherwise. What would you tell them?
I think it's just a matter of, well, first of all, like not comparing yourself to other people, because I think that it's true. Like you and I, our bodies will probably be, I'm super tall and you're short.
Mhm.
Like we will
Yeah.
always look different. Like your arms are shorter than mine. So like our muscles will look different. So I guess that's the thing for me is like, I try not to compare myself to other people, but more like say, okay, I can make myself look different, or I can improve my body. And so
Yeah.
I guess we all can.
Mhm.
It's possible, and you just have to find what works, and you have to find, just follow the program, or follow, just find something that you see some progress in, and then just stick with it. So
Yeah.
I think that we all can improve, um, and get, I guess, just better ourselves. And
Mhm.
it might not be the picture you see of the lady on Instagram,
Yeah.
um, but for yourself, like that's why the progress pictures are important. So I think we all can
Absolutely.
get, down into a healthy state, and I think it's more about that. It's about what's healthy,
Yeah.
and um, what makes you feel good, and
Mhm.
that's what matters most.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And just the final thing, one thing you've mentioned, the progress photos many times. And I've had, a couple of, I think that a couple of people in the group have had challenges just getting into like they're fine with doing the tape measure, they're fine with doing the scale weight, but I think the progress photos really scare them.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool when you can look back on those several weeks or months previous and you can say, oh, wow, now I can be my own motivator. Look at what
Mhm.
I did. Look at what I did then versus where I am now.
Yep.
I'm still on my way, wherever, whatever direction, but look at what I did. Isn't that
Yep.
cool? Like when you can do
Oh
that?
yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember to do that. I
Mhm.
sometimes like forget, so I'll just pull them up, and then I'll be like, and then I'm super motivated that week, and be like, okay,
I'm going
I
to
can
crush
do
it.
even more. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jasmine. You've been really generous with your time. And I know you've got to go back to your kids and your family. And we just really appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to post it in the group. And if anybody has any other questions, then I'll probably just message you if that would be cool.
Yep, that's cool. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jasmine. You too. Bye.